Welcome to another video, and in this video I'm gonna make a bench, a black walnut bench out of this board. So I'm using a square to set up my lines. So everything is planed down, milled down, squared up, but the grain will run through on the sides. I'm gonna make dovetails here, and do the same thing there. Strong corner. We're gonna go through. I'm not gonna go too thin on the sides. So now I'm gonna lay out the tills. I will go for a quite big one, and I'm going over really slowly. Don't pinch too hard because you're gonna see that. So we have 10mm ish left, and let's go one more. Yes. Alright, so and now this is the final pass. Pinch it, take it out, pinch it, take it out. So here you can see the holes. And now I'm just gonna set out the depth, and I'm gonna use this magnetic saw guide to cut my tills. Pushing it down, tighten it on the corners as well. The back side, and then we can start cutting. So I've gotten all the tills, and now I'm gonna take out the middle ways with my coping saw. Alright. Now what I like to do, it's been all cut out. This is the back side. I like to lay it on my marking line, so the line that I took over the thickness of my other board, and just give it a one hit like so, so I have a clear reference, and then I will take a smaller chisel, work until that line with a smaller chisel, but the reference is really important. You want to have it as straight as possible. So I'm always looking for the chisel that fits the best, just perfect in between. Looking for that line, hold it on there, give it one small, so my reference is quite clear. Take a smaller chisel because that works really well with all the waste material, so it doesn't get stuck in between, and then work up to that line. Now what I like to do, I like to add tape here that will act as a reference to my pin board. So that will help laying out my pins on the right depth. So if I'm gonna bring this board in, it's gonna stops on that small edge of the tape, which I need to be exactly on the line. So I lost a little bit of footage because my battery was empty. I took over my tails, and this is my pin board. I've been cutting all of these, did the same thing, used the same jig. You can flip it around Where is it? So you can flip it around and now you can do your pin board. So this will do the tills and the pins. Now I'm gonna take those three out with my coping saw and I will do the same thing as with my tills. Now another quick thing, you can hear you're reaching the end. Now you have to don't push too hard with your coping saw because your blade is a little bit in a bow. It could be that you're gonna cut in your face side or your back side. So the last couple of strokes you really want to do, keep it relaxed so your blade is nice and straight, and then take it out. Give it a couple of strokes like so, and from that side, I think Rob Cosman explained it once in a video. So you will break the grain each side, so you fill those tiny gaps. So yeah, it seems to work though, so I like to do that. So I have this stretcher here, I have it flush with the end of my board. I'm gonna mark it off here as well. Now in order to make this one the right length plus the extra length that I kept on each side, I kept 6mm space between the actual measurement of this board. So I'm gonna divide that by 2, which is 3mm. So I'm gonna plus 3mm here and do the same thing over there. So I'm gonna take over my board thickness. So I've been setting it up with the thickness of my board. I'm gonna unscrew this knob here and I'm just gonna slightly bring it up until it hits 29mm. Okay, tight this thumb screw up. It's ready to do my layout work. So I can use that as a reference to cut my material away. So I just use an offcut as a stop block for my saw blade, and to set the right depth I use it on that side. I line my marking line up with the teeth of my saw blade, pull it down a couple of times, see if I don't go over my line. I rather do another pass with 1mm that way instead of the other way, because that's something that I don't want. Then I'm gonna bring these in to have them really nice against my board. But now it's time to set the right depth, and I'm just gonna set it to 5mm. So tie these up. As you can see, I need to bring it 2mm more out, so my stop block has to go further away from the blade. So I'm gonna keep it like this because this is the maximum depth at the moment, and I'm just gonna loosen this one up, bring it out a little bit, and do another one. Now you will end up with this. I'm gonna remove all the waste material, and then we can go over to my sideboard. I did the exact same thing on my bandsaw as on my bandsaw. I set this to the right depth, and I adjusted my mitre saw to the right height so I can't cut too deep. So first I'm doing these ones. as you can see, that's going to be a problem. So I'll probably have to bring in a smaller. So I'm using this behind my stock so I can get a full pass done. Because that's a problem most of the time to get the full depth, because your blade is obviously in a, it's round, so it doesn't go all the way the lowest point here. So I'm gonna push this against my fence for my saw, bring it in, screw this in, and here's the same thing. I start high, do a stroke, and then okay, so this is exactly the center of my plate. I'm gonna bring in my shaper, the caliper from Shaper, and I'm gonna create a rectangle. And when I said I want to have the width, I am just gonna do, taking over this size here, push that yellow button, and it generates automatically the measurement that I took with this caliper. I'm gonna do the same thing with the height. So I'm gonna take over the height of the joint, and there you have it. I can show you that. I'm not sure if you can see it. So there's your rectangle. Now I'm gonna grab it in the center because I draw out a center line. So now it's dead on center. I'm gonna bring it in, and it snaps automatically to my center. And we're gonna drop it, and there you have it. So now I can cut it out. I'm gonna cut it out 26 millimeters deep because that is my board. I'm gonna do not with an offset because it's dead on the right measurement. This is my bit. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of calibration. And now it's time to cut that out. So let me do that. So super easy, exact the right measurement. Now I'm gonna square up the corners with a chisel, and then it's time to sand everything and glue everything together. So that will be my next step. Now I told in the beginning that I'm gonna flush through it with my sideboard, but I'm gonna let it stick through. I'm gonna add a small 45-degree chamfer on the edges. So I gave it a little chamfer on every edge, and now let's see how everything comes out. So it came out really nice. I think I'm gonna glue everything together now, so I can finish it up. But first, I'm gonna sand everything as much as possible, because when everything is out of part, when everything is sitting loose, it's easier instead of when everything is glued together. So I went over with my block planer on almost every side a couple of times until I have a really small chamfer, not too big, and my edge is nice and smooth. So I will do this for the last stroke now. Zoom. product off with Osmo 3028, a natural oil-based top layer. Alright guys, many thanks for watching and many thanks that you reached my video so far. This was the bench build. I'm gonna show you some pictures, stop talking. Thanks again for watching this video. Thanks again for supporting my channel. So see you in the next video and thanks for watching.